Okay, guys, so we're going to be working on the shape tool lesson that's in Canvas right now. So the basic idea is that we are going to use mainly, if not only, the shape tool to create our Android here. I am going to skip over the layers portion of that only for time in the video. So just know that we have this as a layer. We've lowered the opacity so that it will not show up as much on our main picture, and then we can draw on this layer over here after that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our shape tool, and our shape tool is exactly that. It allows us to create and manipulate shapes. So the first one we're going to start with is our rectangle tool. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create a rectangle, and I'm doing this in a different color to make it easier to see, over our Android. So essentially we're tracing. Now the thing is that we want this to have two rounded corners at the bottom, as you can see here, and not at the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our two main tools here. The first one is called the selection tool. And the selection tool is going to treat this shape as one entire shape. So anything we do will affect the entire shape uniformly. So for example, if I want rounded corners in a shape in Illustrator, I would just grab this little dot and I would drag. But our problem is now it's making all four rounded. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually grab our direct selection tool. And a direct selection tool lets me treat different parts of this shape independently. So by these anchor points, the lines, or the little dots. So to select one, you'll have to double click and drag. And then we do the same thing here. And we're done. So the next step is I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at my rectangle here, and I'm actually going to turn it off for a second. So this little eyeball will turn it off. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make an ellipse. In order to make this a perfect circle, I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to drag. Going back to my selection tool, I'm going to move it about where I think it should be. Now the problem is that I could bring back my rectangle and I could actually have it as two separate, as one item, and you would visually not be able to tell, but I need this to be a half circle separated from the other portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to draw a rectangle again. And for purposes of this, I'm going to change the color of this specific rectangle just so you can see better what I'm doing. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to find the halfway point. And this window is called a Pathfinder window. If you don't have it here, you can always go to your windows and look for it down here. The two main things that we're going to use in Pathfinder here are the unite, or putting two shapes together into one shape, or the subtract, which is, or minus front, which means that whatever's in front, if I select both of these together, it will remove that portion of it. So I'm going to click on here on my circle, and then I'm going to hold shift and click on my rectangle. I'm going to hit my minus front, and now I have a half circle. I'm going to bring back this guy, and now we have the two parts of the shape. I'm going to go to my shape tool again, and I'm going to create a circle. This is going to act as the eye. So I'm going to go again to here, which is my fill color, or what the inside color is going to look like. I'm going to make it black. I'm going to drag it over and put it where I want it to be. Now I could hit Control and duplicate, Control C, Control V to duplicate it, but I can also hit Alt and drag. And when I do that, it just makes a copy. So just like before, we're going to take these two shapes to cut holes out for the eyes. This time though, instead of hitting select, I'm going to click on the white part and I'm going to hold and drag. And now all of those are selected, and I can just go and I have eyes. Now, is it perfect? No, but for our purposes, it's perfectly good for today. So now we have the arms, the legs, and the antenna. So although these are rounded and it would feel like an oval would make sense, you actually want a rectangle, and I'll show you what happens. So we go in here, we make a rectangle, and this time we're not going to switch to our direct selection. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and I did that by holding Alt and moving my mouse wheel. I'm just going to grab and do that. And so now I can move that over here. And it's a little short, so what I'll do is I'll just grab the bottom and extend it. So I need this arm and these legs, and it's all pretty much this shape. So just like the eyes earlier, we're going to hit Alt and drag. And then just to make this all one shape, we're going to highlight all of those shapes and we're going to unite them. Okay. So the last thing we have to do is the antenna. And the thing about this is we really just want one of these rectangles. But when we're this zoomed out, it will draw them at this size. And we want them to be a smaller scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Alt again, scroll in, and if I hold the space bar, I can actually move around my picture a little bit. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to make a rectangle. I'm going to round it out. And then I'm going to drag it over here. If I move up and I just go right off the corner, you're going to see this little rotation marker. And then I can just make this bigger till it matches what I want it to be. Now the thing is, I want to do that again over here, but I'm going to teach you a way to make that much simpler. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to transform. I'm going to go to reflect. And what this does is it makes a copy that's an exact reflection of what you made. So I hit copy and now I have two and they're exact copy, like reflections of the other, and I can just put it over here. I'm going to highlight everybody again. I'm going to put them together. And that way, if I edit any one part of this particular picture, it's going to change all of that section and not have three separate shapes. So the last thing is I got to turn it in. So how do I do, excuse me. So how do I do that? I go to File, I go to Export, and I go to Export As. Now, hopefully you've made a file or a folder for my class. So we find that folder and we're going to name it. So we might name it here, Android. Now, underneath that, you have a number of different file types you can save it as. For this one, we're going to do PNG, and a PNG is just a high quality picture, but also I can remove the background. So if we wanted to make this a sticker or a logo or put it on a t-shirt, we wouldn't have to worry about the white background coming with it. Oh, and so I'm going to go ahead and hit PNG. I did forget something. I'll show you here really quickly. So I'm going to cancel that for a second. This picture is still behind there, and so it will pop up. So I could delete it, and that works fine. But the other thing I can do is just come over here to my toggle visibility. And if I do that, it's gone now, and it won't show up in my final export. So if I come back in here and I do this again, now also you can save on here or you can go to cloud storage. For right now, we're just doing here. I'm gonna hit yes. And you're gonna see these little checkered marks behind the Android, which means it's invisible. We hit okay, and that's it. You've now finished and you can go turn it on Canvas. Hope that helped.